What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another knife review slash overview to do. This is the WE Knives Bishop. Really excited about this knife. This knife comes in 3 different configurations currently. The one you're seeing here is the bronze anodized titanium bolster. You can also get it in blue bolster or a regular stonewashed bolster. That actually would have been the one that I would pick, the stonewashed version, but this knife was provided to me by WE Knives, more specifically the pass around group that I am currently involved with. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. As always, I'll try not to let that affect my review. These knives run $253 right now, I think, on Blade HQ. We're rocking M390, like I said, titanium bolster, titanium liner, running on bearings, and some nice contoured carbon fiber. So really cool. Let's go ahead and get some measurements here real quick. Overall length of this guy, right about 8 inches on the dot. How about the blade? 3.5 inches from tip to scale. Cutting edge is about 3.3, a little over 3.25. Let's do some size comparisons here. Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall. Let's move this guy down just a little bit. Spyderco Paramilitary 2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about the Hinderer XM18 coming in at 8.25 inches overall? How about the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue, coming in at 8 inches overall? That's a great size comparison. Very similar to the Griptilian or Ritter Hogue. And last but not least, the Spyderco Delica coming in at 7 inches overall. Very medium-sized knife. This is going to check a lot of boxes for a lot of people. Bringing me into my next point. One of those boxes is going to be weight. Let's go ahead and weigh this guy, but let's get my scale set correctly first. So, weight coming in 3.92 ounces. Let's turn it over and give it another shot. 3.88 ounces. So just shy of 4 ounces. So yeah, this is definitely going to check a lot of boxes for people. This is a fantastic size and weight of knife. So lots of things that people are going to like in addition to just the size and weight, though. Definitely, there's really a lot to like about this knife. Let's go ahead and talk about the anatomy here. What we've got is a very heavily stonewashed, kind of a darkened stonewashed drop point blade. No flat beyond this point. The flat stops behind this oval cutout that's got an initial cutout and then sort of a spoon or scallop shaped cutout around it. But you can see the flat stops right there. This area up here is actually a swedge. I don't know if I can get it exactly on camera there so you can see what I'm talking about, but it is actually a swedge. Tons of belly down here. Look at the curvature of that blade. Awesome. The blade looks really, really nice. Normally I prefer a satin or stonewash finish, but I'm okay with this. The entire knife is very subdued with a combination of the bolster and the carbon fiber. Everything is nice. There's nothing really shiny about this knife, so it looks really good like this. This would be a second pick for me. You know, I always prefer stonewashed titanium because I'm boring like that, but this would be a second choice for me. I like how the bronze looks in contrast with carbon fiber. Not a big fan of blue on knives, usually. You know, I guess it depends on the overall, you know, knife and the shape and the color, the other colors and things like that. But this is a good looking knife in any configuration that you'd be interested in. Like I said, M390. Moving down to the pivot here, the WE pivot, of course, looks really nice. I didn't talk about this, by the way. The knife has no billboarding on it, and I think that's generally the way that it is with most WE knives, but I really like that. I don't like billboarding, so that's nice they keep it sterile, I guess is the word you would use. Moving back to the bolster, a nice subdued dark bronze tumbled finish on the bolster. The bolster itself is actually a little bit contoured. You can see there. Really nice. Perfect transition into the carbon fiber scales. The carbon fiber looks great and is also contoured. The screws holding the carbon fiber scale in place are also bronze, though my camera is not picking it up. We've got a nice sized lanyard hole back here. Turning the knife sideways, you can see that the liners do not extend to the lips of the scales because they are countersunk. I don't know if we can actually capture that inside there. You can see there a little bit, the countersunk liners on the inside. Backspacer looks to also be carbon fiber. Looks really nice. It's kind of just a plain Jane textured backspacer, but it works. Going up to the the pivot on the non-show side, you can see there's actually some machining around the pivot. It looks really nice, those lines there. So this is the adjustment side. It does have a steel lock bar insert. You can see the screw right there. And then the rest of this really just mirrors the front with the exception of the pocket clip that is in a style that I don't normally like, which is really skinny, but it fits this knife. You know, it looks nice. They've got their logo, a couple of screws holding it on. About that much is going to be sticking up out of your pocket, so not really a whole lot. Looks really nice. The knife is locking up at about 35%. You can see it's a sub frame lock, I guess. I'm not sure how you would say that. But the frame lock hides behind the scale here. So it's really nicely done. Everything matches up just perfectly. You can see the lines there are just perfect. Everything's perfectly carved out. Perfect centering and the action. Oh man. So this thing has an exceptionally heavy detent, which allows for really, really nice deployment. I mean, this thing readily deploys. It is going to fire out, and it's going to fire out hard. Now, I was initially interested in this knife because of this thumb hole, because I thought, oh, cool. So I can flip it, and I can also use my thumb to fire it out in the standard thumb flick, and I can also use my, dang it. So let's try it again. Man, heavy detent. Finally got it. That's exactly what I did the first time I tried to play with that. The detent is so heavy that, you know, what I thought would be like one of the ultimate fidgety flippers, you know, kind of a Spyderco meets Zero Tolerance 0562 looking knife. It didn't work really well, at least on this one, because of the position of the hole, the access that or the lack of access my rear finger has to it, and how heavy that detent is. Let me give you an example of that detent. Very, very heavy. I'm going to show it again from the front. The blade almost teleports into its closed position. Sorry, I'm going to move my finger out of the way. Heavy. It's almost recoil on the detent. But yeah, mega heavy detent. Now, I'm not saying that that's a flaw with the knife, because the primary means of deployment in this knife is the flipper. And you can absolutely still flick it out with the thumb flick. That works just fine. But for me, finding that sweet spot, you know, getting the knife to deploy with your rear finger, it took me a sec, and I miss sometimes. So if you're somebody who likes to do that, if all of these have the exact same heavy detent, I'm going to say it's quickly going to not be your favorite means of deployment on this knife. Other than that, this knife is pretty solid. You know, for the most part, WE is pretty solid on their prices. There's been a few times here lately where I'm like, you're kind of creeping up there. You know, once you get over $200, it's like, it better be something special. And this knife has an M390 blade. It's got a nicely anodized and contoured titanium bolster. You've got contoured carbon fiber. You've got countersunk titanium liners in there, which means, you know, they've got to do that excess milling to get everything fitted correctly. This is a nice knife, and extra work definitely did go into it, extra machining to get it to be this way. On top of that, you've got bearings, and like I said, you've got an action that is absolutely 100% reliable. Just about free fall. I mean, close enough. There's no friction or anything, or I'm not feeling any excess friction on the flip. And you still have partial access to a secondary means of deployment. It was a long-winded way of saying there's another way to deploy it. You can do the standard thumb flick. It just is not a perfect, golly, it's not a perfect reverse flicker. But, you know, I generally like a heavy detent. So, I don't know, those of you who don't care about doing the reverse flick, you're not going to care about that at all. That's not going to matter to you. I only have one thing that I really would change about this knife. You know, this is the type of knife that I'm perfectly okay with there not being a finger choil up front. It's hard to explain when I do and don't prefer that. I'm always biased towards one, but I really like how this blade looks. You know, I honestly don't want anything more than just the sharpening choil that's down here. I really like this. So I'm okay with there not being a finger choil on it. Now, what I did notice is that this is a little bit, let me get my finger in here. I don't know how I'm going to approach this. Balancing this, it's a little bit blade heavy. Just a little teeny tiny bit. And the reason I'm pointing that out to you is because I actually would have preferred, you know, that this be more bronze titanium, the backspacer. I think it would have contrasted better. I think it would have made the back of the knife look better, just, you know, kind of coordinating with the pocket clip and the other hardware. And it probably would have brought the balance out perfect. Now, I don't know that 100% for sure. And really, the only reason I'm saying it is for aesthetic reasons, for personal aesthetic reasons. I like metal backspacers more than I like G10 or carbon fiber backspacers. And I think it would look nice. I'm just adding in the part about the balance because the knife seems to be ever so slightly favoring the blade, and that's probably because of the countersunk titanium liners. But would have been really nice. For me, it would have just been absolutely perfect to have that titanium backspacer. But do I think that should stop you from buying this? No. In fact, I think $253 is a pretty darn good price for this, honestly. It's, when I pick this up, I always try to guess what I think knives cost. The ones that come from the Pass Around group, I always try to guess and see what I think they cost. And if I'm way under, then that's generally when I'm like, hey, I don't 100% trust my gut instinct because I don't know everything, but I like to think I'm a fairly good judge of price, just given everything that I've handled. So if I were to just pick this knife up off a table and someone said, guess how much this costs, I honestly would guess $230, $240. So I'm $13 off from my maximum guess. I don't think that's that far off that it would stop me from buying this knife, given all of the awesome attributes about it. I mean, I love the blade. I love the fact that it's got the hole. I love the bearings. I definitely like the bolster look. I'm a huge fan of that. The contouring's awesome. Ergonomics on this thing are just on point. Oh man, that nice thumb ramp back there with the jimping, that's perfect. Plus it's M390. Very, very satisfying knife to sit around and flick. And it comes in this really cool case. I haven't seen this before. It's kind of like the little Pelican cases you see that come with Medford knives. But I really like this knife, and I can absolutely recommend it to you guys. And this is one this was an easy review for me. The knife is simple. It doesn't have a whole bunch of parts. If you really needed to take it apart, a scale screw and some body screws holding the backspacer together. A few more on this side, the pivot, and there you go. It's apart. You've got your bearings on the inside there and your blade, and that's it. I mean, honestly, it's a simple knife. It's got premium materials. It is, it's following suit with market trends right now, but it's also still doing its own thing. It's kind of like classy cool in that simple way. The reason, that we see so many knife handles that are shaped like this is because it works. I mean, there are a ton of handles like this, but they dressed it up a little bit with the bolster look. Some of you guys like that and some of you guys won't, but I really like it, and I think if it was just a plain scale, it would make this boring. So I really like how this looks, and like I said, I can absolutely recommend it. But truthfully, guys, that's going to be pretty much it for today. This is a great knife. I urge you to go check it out and pick your flavor, blue, bronze, or stonewashed. I don't think you can go wrong. But anyways, that's going to be pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel because there is definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.